Alright, this is going to be the first one, I think. One of the longer ones. This is only going to be for a few minutes. But, I've been hearing... excuse me. Must have, like, dryness in the back of my throat, but anyway. This is a politically aimed diatribe. A lot of people on Facebook have been bitching and moaning about how our system fails, like how our votes don't count, and the electoral college already knows who they're going to vote for before it becomes time to vote. We don't have rights. We don't, endless stuff like that. Well, the thing that most people are forgetting is that according to the government, and this is to the government, this is how the government looks at it. You might be a person, but the people who count, the real people who count, are registered voters. If you're not a registered voter, they don't really care. That's why you see so much debate about senior care and all these other things. If you're not registered to vote, then then they really don't give a damn. If you're a registered voter, you all of a sudden have a voice. Just like when it comes to veterans affairs, voters have a right to speak their mind, and so do the soldiers. Now, if you've got a loved one who has been or will be or is currently in one of the armed forces, then they tend to pay a little bit more attention to you. But if you're a registered voter and you have a member of your family in the armed forces, they pay very close attention to you. Especially if you start posting videos on YouTube, go on Facebook and put a video on that gets a lot of likes. Things like that tend to stick out to them. They don't care about people who don't vote, don't care to vote, don't want to vote. And if you think that the system's corrupt now, well, the less people vote, the fewer people that do vote will control what happens. For instance, if nobody but the elderly voted because of their civic duty from back in the day, then if they voted to end up taxing the young, like people starting out in their 20s, and they voted to raise the tax hike and keep raising taxes on younger people to pay for their retirement, guess what would happen? People that are in their 20s would be taxed endlessly. I don't know if you people get that, but that's ultimately what it means. Registered voters who go and vote count because they want their voice heard, they want their opinion heard. And the people who are in the electoral colleges are voted in. Okay. In case you didn't know, the electoral votes, we decide who those people are that vote. We may not be able to sway their votes, but we control who they are. If you don't vote, you don't get to have somebody who shares your same opinions. And just because a group of, say, 100,000 people doesn't like something, doesn't mean that the person has to vote those people's way. If you have over 1 million constituents in your area, then the bitching and moaning of 100 people is not going to overthrow the well-being of 100,000 people, period. That's my whole point, is if you don't vote, and this is the way the government looks at it, if you do not vote and you're not registered to vote, who cares? That's literally the way they see it. It doesn't matter whether 1,000 people sign a petition or whatnot. A lot of the petitions that fly around nowadays, you have to be a registered voter to be able to sign them. Because other than that, who cares if you signed it, because you won't vote anyway. Voting matters. For all those of you who are pessimistic and believe that your vote doesn't count for anything, well, fine. Just don't vote and then don't bitch when something else happens. I was raised in a family where if you don't vote, you don't bitch at all. If you do not vote, you do not bitch about what's going wrong with the country. Period. That's the it, and that's the end. The end. Period. You don't bitch about it because you didn't exercise your civic duty. Okay.